Hi, this is Dwight with Unleash Billions, Luxury, Motivation, and Success, and welcome to part 7, where we will be going over some of the best wealth and success quotes of all time. Let's get into it. Wealth is not his that has it, but his that enjoys it. Benjamin Franklin. It is easy to say you don't care about money when you have plenty of it. Ransom Riggs. In the Middle Ages, the rich spent their money carelessly on extravagant luxuries, whereas peasants lived frugally, minding every penny. Today, the tables have turned. The rich take great care managing their assets and investments, while the less go into debt buying cars and televisions they don't really need. Yuval Noah Harari. Money moves from those who do not manage it to those who do. Dave Ramsey. If you cannot control your emotions, you cannot control your money. Warren Buffett. Too many people spend money they earn to buy things they don't want, to impress people that they don't like. Will Rogers. It is not how much money you make, but how much money you keep, how hard it works for you, and how many generations you keep it for. Robert Kiyosaki. You must gain control over your money, or the lack of it will forever control you. Dave Ramsey. A healthy desire for wealth is not greed. It's a desire for life. Jen Sincero. Wealth is nothing more or less than a tool to do things with. It is like the fuel that runs the furnace, or the belt that runs the wheel, only a means to an end. Henry Ford. The man who is possessed of wealth, who lolls on the sofa or rolls in his carriage, cannot judge the wants or feelings of the day laborer. The government we mean to erect is intended to last for ages. The landed interest at present is prevalent, but in process of time, when we approximate to the states and kingdoms of Europe, when the number of landholders shall be comparatively small, through the various means of trade and manufactures, will not the landed interest be overbalanced in future elections? And unless wisely provided against, what will become of your government? In England at this day, if elections were open to all classes of people, the property of landed proprietors would be insecure, and agrarian law would soon take place. If these observations be just, our government ought to secure the permanent interest of the country against innovation. Landholders ought to have share in the government, to support these invaluable interests, and to balance and check the other. They ought to be so constituted as to protect the minority of the opulent against the majority. The Senate, therefore, ought to be this body, and to answer these purposes, they ought to have permanency and stability. James Madison. In every well-governed state, wealth is a sacred thing. In democracies, it's the only sacred thing. Anatole France. There is no get-rich-quick scheme equal to a poor girl marrying a rich man. Edgar Watson Howe. Among the idle rich, boredom is one of the most common causes of unhappiness. People who have difficulty in earning their living may suffer greatly, but they are not bored. Wealthy men and women become bored when they depend on the theater for their enjoyment instead of making their own lives interesting. Andre Marat. Wealth is clearly not the absolute good of which we are in search, for it is a utility and only desirable as a means. Aristotle. If it is well with your belly, chest, and feet, the wealth of kings can give you nothing more. Horace. Those who spend too fast never grow rich. Honoré de Balzac. Honoré de Balzac. No, wealth isn't created at the top. It is merely devoured there. Rutger Bregman. Let none admire that the richest grow in hell, that soil may be best, deserve the precious bane. John Milton. Never respect men merely for their riches, but rather for their philanthropy. We do not value the sun for its height, but for its use. William Scott Downey. When did it become an either-or situation? If you partake in the pursuit of wealth, it's not like you shall never again attend a family barbecue, hug a puppy, or tiptoe through the tulips. In fact, if you do it correctly, you will be able to afford to spend even more time on such merriments, and do it in style. Not to mention, pay for the gas to put in your car to get to the family barbecue, buy the hot dogs, show up wearing clothes, and marvel at Uncle Carl's famous card tricks, unfettered by thoughts of your crushing debt or how you're going to hit him up for a loan to cover your rent this month as soon as he's had a few beers. Jen Sincero. My conception of America is a land where men and women may walk in ordered freedom in the independent conduct of their occupations, where they may enjoy the advantages of wealth, not concentrated in the hands of the few, but spread through the lives of all, where they build and safeguard their homes and give to their children the fullest advantages and opportunities of American life, where every man shall be respected in the faith, that his conscience and his heart direct him to follow, where a contented and happy people, secure in their liberties, free from poverty and fear, shall have the leisure and impulse to seek a fuller life. Herbert Hoover. Being wealthy when no one else is like being the only one at a party with a drink. Tim Allen. The real measure of our wealth is how much we'd be worth if we lost all our money. John Henry Jowett. 3 courses open lie to wealth: to give, enjoy, or lose. Who shrinketh from the former 2, perforce the third doth choose. Barthari. Long-term wealth is built brick by brick from the decisions you make every day. Don Riddler. The way to cure hatred of the rich is to accumulate some property for yourself. Lewis F. Corns. If we command our wealth, we shall be rich and free. If our wealth commands us, we are poor indeed. Edmund Burke. The effect of concentration of wealth is to yield concentration of power. Noam Chomsky. Great wealth may be to its owner a blessing or a curse. Alas, I fear it's too often the latter. It hardens the heart, blunts the finer susceptibilities, and transforms into a fiend what under more favorable circumstances might have been a human being. Arnold Bennett. You obviously don't know what an old man of the sea great wealth is. It is not a fat purse and time to spend it. Its owner finds himself beset on every side, at every hour, wherever he goes, by persistent pleaders like beggars in Bombay, each demanding that he invest or give away part of his wealth. He becomes suspicious of honest friendship. Indeed, honest friendship is rarely offered to him. Those who could have been his friends are too fastidious to be jostled. A man can hardly say to have made a fortune if he does not know how to enjoy it. A man can hardly be said to have made a fortune if he does not know how to enjoy it. Louis de Clapers, Marquis de Vauvenargues. As the cream abandons the milk from which took its life, and rises to the top and rides there, so men, because they are richer than those around them, separate themselves, and all mankind below them they regard as skim milk. Henry Ward Beecher. If you do not appreciate what you have now, you will never appreciate what you will have. Lewis F. Corns. There are 1,000 ways to wealth, but only one way to heaven. John Locke. Nothing keeps longer than a middling fortune, and nothing melts away sooner than a large one. Jean de la Bruyere. Wealth alone does not make happiness on earth. Albert Lortzing. Nothing makes a man more intolerable than his consciousness of having enough money for a good lawyer. Richard Widmark. If a person claims that everything can be achieved with money, you may be sure that he has never had any. Aristotle. But possession brings friends. I admit that, but false ones, and it procures them not for you, but for itself. Erasmus of Rotterdam. If you have enough money, the good reputation comes naturally. Eric Kastner. There is only one class in the community that thinks more about money than the rich, and that is the poor. The poor can think of nothing else. Oscar Wilde. If you have a garden and a library, you have everything you need. Marcus Tullius Cicero. If not to make the world better, what is money for? Elizabeth Taylor. Standard of living is trying to afford today what you won't have enough money for even 10 years from now. Danny Kaye. You can easily find people who are 10 times as rich at 60 as they were at 20, but not one of them will tell you that they are 10 times as happy. George Bernard Shaw. It's not through inventions, but through improvements that fortunes are made. Henry Ford. Money is the best bait to fish for man with. Thomas Fuller. The poor never imputes generosity as a virtue to the rich. Marie von Eber-Eisenbach. A man is rich in proportion to the number of things which he can afford to let alone. Henry David Thoreau. Not what I have, but what I do is my kingdom. Thomas Carlyle. What the good Lord thinks about money is visible through the people to whom he gives it. Peter Bam. Bank robbery is an initiative of amateurs. True professionals establish a bank. Bertolt Brecht. It is not the man who has little, but he who desires more, that is poor. Lucius Annaeus Seneca. The real purpose of wealth is to give of it generously. Blaise Pascal. The chief value of money lies in the fact that one lives in a world in which it is overestimated. Henry Louis Mencken. A house without books is a poor house, even if beautiful rugs are covering its floors and precious wallpapers and pictures cover its walls. Hermann Hesse. Contentment is a natural wealth. Luxury, artificial. Contentment is natural wealth. Luxury, artificial poverty. Socrates. Truly rich is he who has more dreams in his soul than reality can destroy. Hans Krupa. Money rules the world to the end. Claudia Breffield. Nearly all men can stand adversity, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power. Abraham Lincoln. If you would know the value of money, go try to borrow some. Benjamin Franklin. Don't call yourself poor if your dreams didn't come true. Only those are really poor who have never had a dream. Marie von Ebner-Eisenbach. Only those who live in prosperity rail against it. Ludwig Marcuse. Money only appeals to selfishness and always tempts its owners irresistibly to abuse it. Albert Einstein. You don't get rich by what you earn. You get rich by what you don't spend. Henry Ford. Poverty is nothing to be ashamed of. There are more who should be ashamed of their wealth. Johann Neustroy. Peace makes wealth. Wealth makes devilness. Devilness brings war. War brings poverty. Poverty makes humility. Humility makes peace again. Johann Geiler of Kaisersberg. Food comes first and then morality. Bertolt Brecht. Loneliness and the feeling of being unwanted is the most terrible poverty. Mother Teresa. That is the accursed thing about small surroundings. They make the soul small. Henrik Ibsen. The only people that a bank will loan money to is the very people who don't need it. Mark Twain. Prosperity is a foundation, but not a guiding principle for shaping life. Preserving it is even harder than acquiring it. Ludwig Erhard. God has not created poverty. It is we who have created it. Mother Teresa. Money spoils the character. It makes it visible. Unknown quote. A man is a success if he gets up in the morning and goes to bed at night and in between does what he wants to do. Bob Dylan. To whom a little is not enough, no wealth will satisfy. Christoph Martin Weiland. It is health that is real wealth and not pieces of gold or silver. Mahatma Gandhi. Prosperity starts right there, where people start thinking with their belly. Norman Mailer. To have and not to give is often worse than to steal. Marie von Ebner-Eisenbach. Having loving people in your life is what makes the wealth of existence. Albert Schweitzer. It doesn't matter how slowly you go, as long as you don't stop. Confucius. Wealth ofttimes killeth where want but hindereth the budding. Martin Farquhar Tupper. Envy wealth for its power of good, not ill. Edward Counsel. Wealth is what's here on the premises. If I open a cupboard and see, say, 30 cans of tomato sauce and a 5-pound bag of rice, I get a little thrill of well-being, much more so than if I take a look at the quarterly dividend report on my mutual friend. Garrison Keillor. Jesus and the apostles nowhere speak of wealth as a thing to be prayed for. They nowhere characterize wealth as a blessing or the accumulation of it by enterprise and industry as praiseworthy. The new dispensation nowhere promises either riches or long life to the righteous. It promises eternal life and treasures in heaven. The poverty which Jesus calls blessed consists not in penury and the lack of the necessaries of life, but in abundance or non-abundance, with the knowledge that the abundance, if there be abundance, is the gratuitous gift of God, and also the knowledge, if there be non-abundance, that whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth. William Batchelder Green. We may lack riches, but the greatest fortune is what lies in our hearts. Dean Koontz. A man is rich whose income is larger than his expenses, and he is poor if his expenses are greater than his income. Jean de la Bruyere. Jars neither of wine nor of water shall fail in the houses of the rich. Aeschylus. Riches naturally gain a man a favorable reception in the world, and give merit a double luster when a person is endowed with it, and supply its place, in great measure when it is absent. 'Tis wonderful to observe what airs of superiority fools and knaves with large possessions give themselves above men of the greatest in poverty. Wellens Calcutt. The rich man's happiness is but from the teeth outwards, a counterfeit satisfaction with the worm in his heart. Wellens Calcutt. Whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth. William Batchelder Green. And the last quote for this video: we may lack riches, but the greatest fortune is what lies in our hearts. Dean Koontz. It was great having you here on Unleash Billions, Luxury, Motivation, and Success. Hopefully you will join us again next time. Thank you.